So good afternoon once again, and welcome to the seminar on financial planning and investor awareness. It's our pleasure to have with us Sri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, who is our chief guest today, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Bombay Stock Exchange, and our Central Council member, Sri Pankaj Jain. He is the Chairman of the Professional Development Committee at the ICAI Central Council. CA Tarun Gia, who is the Conference Director, who is also a Central Council member of ICAI. And we have with us CA Mangesh Kinare, who is the Chairman, Western India Regional Council, ICAI. And I am with you, Anil Bhandari, and I am the member of the Western India Regional Council. So before we start the program, I would request you all to please stand for the Institute motto.
Yaesha sukteshu jagrati Yaesha sukteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Purusho nirmimanaha Tadev shukram tada brahma Tadevamritamuchyate Tasmin lokaha shataha Sarve tadunatyati kaschan Etadvaita
I'm sorry to ask you to stand up again, but we'll also do the national anthem. It's a request that we've got, so I'm very sorry, but.
पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उत्कल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. To the dignitaries, can I request you to please come forward so that we can light the lamp and don't have to ask you to stand again. So I'll not take too much of your time. I would first request the program coordinator and the conference director, Sri CA Tarun Gia, to take the stand and give his opening remarks and talk to you. Tarunji, are we getting some tips from you how to make investments into 200% or 300%, or we'll have to leave it to the managing director? Fair enough. So let us start the sessions now. So Tarunji, please, can I request you to come?
A very learned chief guest for today's seminar, Sri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and CEO of Bombay Stock Exchange Limited. A very senior Central Council member and guest of honor for today's seminar, CA Pankaj Jain. WRC Chairman, CA Mangesh Kinre. WRC member, CA Anil Bhandari. Learned faculties, including Sri Gajendra Kothari, CA Jagruti Sheth, and Ms. Shalini Dhawan. WRC past chairman, CA VC Darakji, and very learned friends. Learned friends for the reason that only those who are learned have the inquisitiveness, have the desire to become aware about the recent developments, and the updating in the particularly financial sector and the investment markets. Today's seminar, friends, as you are aware, has been arranged by the Committee on Financial Markets of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, jointly with Ministry of Corporate Affairs. One of the predominant functions of this committee is to continuously organize such short seminars in which awareness is created about the latest developments in the financial sector, in the investment markets. And it is in that context, probably we could not have found a better venue and a better chief guest for such a seminar, where people will be certainly very eager to hear one by one, including the chief guest, including our learned faculties. Before that, let me also, to some of you who are not so much aware about the functioning of the ICI, throw some light on the functioning of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Friends, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is the regulator of the profession of accounting and auditing. It has been set up under the Act of Parliament, and it functions through its Central Council, which comprises 32 elected members from all over India, plus 8 nominated members by the Government of India. The policy decisions and administration happens from the headquarters, Delhi, and then thereafter, there are regional councils, there are branches, study circles, which are predominantly in the education exercises. One of the committees of the Institute is Financial Markets Committee, which is organizing this program, and as I mentioned, to create awareness about the activities happening in the financial sector. With this background, I'll give the proceedings once again to Anil Bhandari ji for further process. Thank you.
Can I now request CA Pankaj Jain, Chairman of the Professional Development Committee, to say a few words? Pankaj ji, can we hear from you how to make Forex, or?
Respected Ashish Bhai, my colleague on the Central Council, Tarun Bhai Gia, my colleagues on the Regional Council, the Chairman, Mr. Mangesh Kinre, Mr. Anil Bhandari, the past Chairman, Mr. Darak, the learned faculties, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. I'm aware that we are running behind schedule, so I'll be very brief. First and foremost, I would like to thank Ashish Bhai for so graciously offering his historic premises. The Rotunda in the BSE is, as we all know, is a place where many people have made and lost millions. But it's such a pleasure to always come here. It brings back such memories, standing near the glass and watching the outcry system of trading in till the late 90s. I think it's credit to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and the BSE for regularly organizing investor awareness programs. I would have been a bit more happy if there were some specific topics included in terms of do's and don'ts for investors. My friend Anil Bhandari asked me whether I will give you some tips to make money 4 times. Yes, I can give you. I can only tell you that the best way to make money is to first preserve it. At least I can tell you what not to do than what to do. As investors, even why only investors, small investors, even professionals like us, the greed, the lure of making quick money is always there. A friend will call up and say, I have studied this company, or I've got a tip from somebody, buy this company. Even a chartered accountant like me will not even bother to go and see the website. He says, okay, my friend has told me, and he just calls his broker and gives the order. Why? Because he believes in his friend. Now, whether the friend has done homework or not, no. It is just that somebody close to me said something, I believe in him, so I did it. And that's the way many of us tend to lose money. I think money is hard earned by all of us. We should ensure that at least if we can't double it, at least not to lose it. I think that's the first tip for investing. And I'm very happy that under the auspices of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, the ICAI has always been a partner in the nation building, and we try and organize various such type of awareness programs all over the country. We have come out with various booklets, many times sponsored by the BSE also, wherein we distribute that to all the investors. And since investing is such a dynamic topic that every time the definition of value investing changes, and how to create value, etc., has different connotations. So it is not that you attend once this seminar, so therefore in future you may not require to attend it again. But I would strongly recommend that such type of programs, the more you attend, the more you will be up to date. It's like reading the Gita. The more you read it, the more understanding and meaning you derive from it. Friends, I also would like to thank Ashish Bhai on behalf of the entire fraternity of chartered accountants for so willingly and so promptly agreeing to our request when I had personally come to him for including the qualification of DISA, which is, we have a Diploma in Information and Systems Audit, which is done only by chartered accountants, for allowing them also do the audit of broker members as well as for algorithmic trading. In fact, I met him in the evening, and the next day there was a revision in the circular by the Bombay Stock Exchange. I would request all of you to please convey our gratitude with a loud applause to him, sir. And I'm very confident that, knowing the kind nature of Ashish Bhai, I know him for the last 2 decades, that he will always be very nice, kind, and considerate for whatever he believes are valid requests made by the institute and obviously the general investors. I am very happy that the BSE is in very safe hands. And I was telling him before the start of this program that I have seen that the person who is at the helm, uski takdeer bhi kafi baar stock exchange ke saath judi hui rehti hai. And in fact, it is, if the right person is on the job, sometimes the market always plays for the better of all of us. And right now we are witnessing something like that. I hope that he continues to be at the helm of BSE for a long, long time to come, so that we all enjoy the fruits of a good market, and at the same time we'll be always happy to share our thoughts as far as investor education and investor awareness is concerned. Thank you so much.
So I constantly kept asking my Central Council members if they would give us tip for 2x and 4x. The idea was not to try and impress upon them as to how do we make money. But I'm sure you've all heard, and we've forgotten corporations like Enron who have fallen down. Do you even realize what the impact was at that point in time? It was billions. Just 2 decades back, we had the largest corporations and banks falling down. Do you realize the impact of those? The impact was trillions. And the economies came crashing down. And the government wanted to run businesses. So what I was actually trying to impress upon you was that probably through these awareness programs, what we try and do is try and impress upon you that our expectations have to be set right. If our expectations are wrong, then we would only end up blaming government, regulators, and exchanges. So anyway, I'm not an expert on that, and we have today with us our chief guest, Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan. And let me introduce Ashish to you. Ashish is the Managing Director and CEO of BSE Limited, Asia's first stock exchange. He serves on the board of ICCL, CDSL, BSE Training Institute, PFSI Sector Skill Council, and Marketplace Technologies Limited. He's also a member of the board of governors of IIT D&M Jabalpur and a few SEBI committees. He currently is the chairman of the Advisory Committee on Technology of FMC. That's a tough job at this point in time. Has served on various other government and regulatory committees like the CBDT and the FMC, amongst others in the past. He's also a member of the advisory board of Lend a Hand India, an NGO working in implementing vocational skill development programs for rural and urban youth by providing them practical training at high school level. He is a member of the Capital Markets Committee of FICCI, FICCI. He's National Council on Corporate Governance and Regulatory Affairs of CII and Financial Sector Development of the Council of CII. He has recently been a recipient of the Zee Business Award for Business Transformation. Ashish has over 22 years of experience in financial markets and technology. And this part is interesting. Ashish was part of the 5-member team that set up NSE and set up NSE's equity and derivative segment and created the NSE 50, which is Nifty today, the NSE 50 index. He was the group CIO of the Reliance Group and was ranked amongst the top 50 CIOs in the world by several magazines and institutions. He also headed the corporate communications for Reliance Group in between and was the CEO of Mumbai Indians. Ashish holds a BTech in Mechanical Engineering from IIT Mumbai and a PGDM from IIM Calcutta. Now, he's been the person responsible for setting up NSE, and he today is the person responsible for running BSE. This is a very interesting thing, and let me welcome Ashish Kumar Chauhan, and I request you, sir, to please come and address the gathering.
Shri Pankaj Jain, Shri Tarun Ghia, Shri Kinnare, Shri Bhandare, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure and honor to be here in front of all of you. For me, whenever the TIPS subject comes, I start wondering what to say, because somewhere I think whatever you read, whatever you see in television, wherever you go, it's not investment. Earlier, investment used to be for 20 years, 30 years. Now, people say in next 10 minutes whether I will get this returns or not. So 10 minutes is a short-term investment and 30 minutes is a long-term investment. So we have come to a very fast world, from test match to one day and then 2020, and now only toss will decide whether we are winning or losing. We are somewhere having what I call wrong perceptions, wrong expectations. Because investments still remain investments. And that will come out of the studies you have, the knowledge you have, wisdom you gain from yourself and other people. And people who try to take you through things very fast. As Pankaj Bhai said, it's not about making money. It's about not losing money. So idea is, many of you would have made a lot of money, probably some of you would have lost also. But yesterday I was sent a recording of a conversation between an investor and an owner of a large activity. And it was very difficult for me to sort of sit and listen, where a person had invested 60 lakhs, 30 lakhs from his own savings, 30 lakhs from his wife's. And he said, I am now 65 and I have no job and my all money is gone in with you. And at least give me a job if you don't want to give me the money back. And I practically started crying, saying, this is what happens when you trust somebody blindly. When you trust somebody because he is from your religion. When you trust somebody because he is a billionaire so he can do nothing wrong. Idea is, try to diversify, try to be humble, try to do things on merit rather than on extraneous activities. because somewhere on the line, everyone who has used the concept of religion, concept of various other activities, finally ends up taking your money away rather than actually growing them. Why I'm telling this is it's a very topical thing for all of us. We are, entire Mumbai is practically going through that framework where somebody we know or ourselves have lost some or other money in some of these activities. And now we are trying to figure out. In fact, in 91, 92, even 2006, when there would be an announcement of an investment seminar, thousands of people will come. And people who used to go to give tips had become superstars, you know. Because when market is up, it is people who give faster, what I call, ability to make money faster are respected. Today, when you say that there is an investment seminar, people come 30, 40 minutes late, and that also very interested people, not general people who want to make money faster. So thank you very much for coming, because today, although market is almost near the all-time peak, today it went up by 450 points, and I think it's 19,850 or something. So it's near all-time peak, but still last 5-6 years, markets have not given returns, the stock markets. People ask me that last 5 years, gold has given 5 times return. So I ask them that, is the past a good predictor for future? If real estate has given you 10 times return in last 10 years, will it give you 10 times return in next 10 years? If gold has given you 5 times returns in last 5 years, will it give you 5 times returns in next 5 years? In fact, in last 1 year itself, it is down by 30% on rupee terms. And in dollar terms, it is down by 40-45%. The gold. Somewhere on the line, we start getting a framework that past returns is what causes the future returns. In some sense, it is true. Because in economics, I'm sure in ICI, in fact, let me tell you another interesting stuff. Yesterday, I got a message from one of my friends who is a chartered accountant, who sent me saying, when did you acquire CA? So I said, I have never been a CA before at least. So he said, no, but in the sort of seminars, whatever brochures that have been sent, my name is written as CA. And so it's hilarious how things happen. So somewhere, basically, in economics, we are taught that if the demand increases, price go up. And if the supply increases, price go down. And vice versa is also true. That if prices increase, demand go down. And prices decrease, actually demand go up. Right? That is basically the situation, that if prices of potatoes go down, then more people will buy potatoes. That is the normal sort of economics. But not many of us are taught that in investment is exactly opposite. In investment instruments, if something goes up, more people go after it. The demand actually increases until the bubble bursts. So there are books and there are theories on bubbles. But idea is to not get taken and by the bubbles, not get impressed by the bubbles. Use our wisdom to ensure that our money and us are not parted easily. They do part. And fool and his money part very easy. But we need to, for not being a fool, we need to understand, we need to figure out what is happening. In fact, that investor I told you about, the person is telling them that before investment, if you had made this SMSs and these phone calls, you would not have lost so much money. And that guy said, sir, I actually went through everything. I asked your people. I had made so many calls, and I was totally convinced because of the information that were given and the reputation you had, that my money will not be lost, and now it is lost. So many times storms do happen. Storms do occur, and we need to be aware that we still need to diversify. Don't put all your money in one basket. Second thing is, don't believe in tips. If a television personality comes and tells you that buy this stock, what is he doing? If he says, no, this technical chart is saying now this today is 1090, now it will become 1320. Is he such a great guy? Is he interested in your well-being? Either he is faking, or he has already bought beforehand, so he wants you to buy. Right? Unless proved otherwise, nobody is interested in your welfare. And if he is interested in your welfare in the past, doesn't mean he is interested in your welfare now. So first principle is don't believe in tips, and whatever comes on magazines, televisions, take it in your stride. I'm not saying don't listen to it, don't worry about it, but I have been told by Dhirubhai, I used to work for him for several years, suno sabki karo apni. Listen to everyone, but paisa apna hai na boss. So, plus you can't then later on go and that SEBI is bad, government is bad, my money is taken by this guy, not government. When money was being made, I was the most brainiest person on earth. It was happening through my intelligence, my study, my wisdom. When money goes, then government is bad, it is all corrupt, all these guys are not doing anything, right? It happens to all of us. So, because money is yours, even by telling 100 things to 100 people, bad things, still your money is not going to come back unless you take proper care of it. So for me, the gold has run a cycle. All these businesses go through a cycle. So gold has run the cycle. It went up and now plateaued and slowly going down. Real estate has gone up, plateaued, and now it may be going down as what we are hearing. There are probably stock market has not given returns for last 5-6 years. Who knows, that time might have come. That's why market is going up. There are other international issues which might affect the Indian economy, those companies you are planning to invest in, and so on and so forth. One single example is IT companies. Whenever rupee depreciates, or whenever you think rupee is going to depreciate, who is going to benefit? IT companies, because they are hugely export oriented. And many times we make a rupee value as a prestige issue. That rupee has to be below 50, otherwise ijjat jayegi. But what is that prestige which doesn't get you jobs? If you depreciate rupee, what happens? You are reducing the cost of labor of Indian origin for outside world, right? What does India sell today? India sells labor, right? We have 120 crore people, and we sell labor from the lowest end to the highest end, from PhDs to IT engineers to even construction laborers, right? Our construction laborers work in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Gulf countries. IT people also, we send them abroad. We also send them abroad on a daily basis by telephone lines. 10 to 5, that guy is working in US. When I know one example, there McDonald's in America has what we call drive-through mechanism. So on one window, you take your car, on one window you give order of how many different types of McDonald's burgers and everything you want. And then you go take a round, probably 200 meters, and then come back to other window to take the material. It is ready and given to you within that whatever 2 minutes or 1 minute. But the biggest thing is that order which you give there is taken in India. It is outsourced to India, but the physical workers are working there to give you the material. Why I am telling you this is that when rupee goes down, you create jobs. Because if a carpenter is giving 200 rupees a day sort of rate to outsiders, and his neighbor gives 150 rupees a day, who is going to get more business? 150 rupees wala. That 200 rupee fellow will actually die of hunger. Although he may say that I am the greatest carpenter on earth, and it is below my dignity to give below 200 rupees. So I will die, but I will not work. That is the framework which we are now being made to believe that Indian rupee going down is a great calamity. For me, in 1991, the only constructive thing that happened to begin with was that rupee was taken from 17 to 30 within one day. And then the entire economy started kicking up, and then liberalization actually made sense. The export orders start coming not next day. It is not an on-off switch. It takes 6 months, 1 year to start quoting and other things. But we were becoming uncompetitive vis-a-vis Philippines, vis-a-vis Ireland, vis-a-vis Brazil, where the overall cost of labor for the same productivity was becoming much cheaper than India, because in last 3 years we had huge inflation. We had actually increase in people's wages and all, but we had not depreciated the rupee. And because of that, we were losing out on our competitiveness. And if we again continue to go back to 50 rupees a dollar, we'll have similar issues going forward. So there are many once you read newspapers, everyone will be totally tense in the morning coming out of home saying, I have read newspaper for last 30 days, and everyone is saying government is doing very badly, rupee is going down, and that's all of us are doomed. Rupee is going down due to variety of reasons, but rupee going down is good for creating jobs. And today, India needs to create 1.5 crore new jobs for next 20 years, every year. Given our demographics, out of 120 crore people, 60 crore people are less than age 25. That's a huge number. And when these people come into the job market, we need to give them jobs. If we don't give them jobs, they are going to create riots. They are going to become Naxals, right? We need to create those jobs. How will we create those jobs? Internal consumption of jobs is one part, but working for outsiders is also very important. And if we don't create those jobs, we are going to have serious social implications. And that's where we need to worry about whatever we read in newspapers, magazine, television, use with your perspective saying, if India has to create jobs, whether rupee going up is good or rupee going down is good. And then you will figure out that if India has to create jobs, from Indian perspective, investing money in gold is good, or investing money in real estate is good, or investing money in financial instruments is good. When you invest money in gold, where does it go? Does it create jobs? It goes into locker, even if it is jewelry. Because if we wear the jewelry, somebody will snatch the chain and go away. So we buy gold. Last year, India got $25 billion of FII investment. How much? $25 billion. We were very, very happy. And India bought $60 billion of only gold. We are buying yellow stone, right? For what? Does it create jobs? If that $60 billion, that is 3,60,000 crore, was invested into productive activity like services companies, manufacturing companies, how many jobs would have been created? If each crore rupees is giving you crore rupees of investment, if it is giving you say 100 jobs, then multiply 3,60,000 multiplied by 100. How many jobs we would have created? So as a collective, what are we doing? If our need of the society is to create jobs, and if we don't create jobs, we are going to have serious social repercussions. Why is it that we are not understanding it? Only when gold goes down consistently for 1 year, 2 years, last year also gold gave negative returns. This year also looks as if gold will give negative returns. 2-3 years it goes down, then only we will start understanding that gold is giving no returns. So now we go into other returns related activities. But why I just wanted you to be aware is that sometimes what is common logic, what is common understanding is actually bad. And people with some information, some knowledge, some wisdom, which is contrary, their voices get hidden. They don't want to speak because they look foolish, or they don't want to speak because they think anyway this is all basically entertainment. What is coming out now through all this public media sometimes is entertainment, and we need to be aware as people whose money is at stake, whose lives are at stake, whose family's money is at stake or lives are at stake. we need to be basically aware that something which is contrary to intuition, why are we buying it? It is somebody else's interest. Right? So somewhere I just wanted you to be aware that what you hear, what you see, first use it against the information, knowledge, basic principles you have in life. If it meets your criteria, go with that guy. If you think a person is not good running that particular company, running that particular industry, or entire industry is bad because they are into smuggling, don't go into that, because illegal activity somewhere will not be tolerated. If not today, tomorrow they will be caught and your money will go out. If a person is not ethical, he has proved in some other areas that he is not ethical, or he is not willing to go by the land, law of the land, then please look into those aspects also. Yesterday only I was sitting with one of the largest private equity personalities in India, who is spending billions of dollars in India. And we were both chatting up. He said, boss, you had told me, but I still invested. And he lost probably $400 million. And I said, I didn't tell you that the guys were not making money. But I told you because you and me know for 20 years that the guys are not ethical. Even at the highest level, people make mistakes. We are much smaller. But idea is, don't go with guys who are not ethical, not working legally, rather than sort of going after them because their stock prices are going up. Or somebody in television, somebody in newspaper writes that this is a good buy, and so on and so forth. So somewhere you need to also use your, what I call, basic standards of ethics, principles and all. Otherwise, today's India will not tolerate it. Today's India, somewhere or other, will ensure that these guys are caught, if not today, tomorrow, and people supporting them also will have issues. Past, it might have been possible. Future, it will be very difficult because of the RTI and everything else, social media and so on and so forth, that somewhere or other, businesses which don't follow regulations, businesses which do not meet the basic social standards, morals, ethics and all, they may not be able to survive for long. So somewhere, as Pankaj Bhai said, instead of telling you tips of what to buy, I am telling you what to sell. Unfortunately, I am not an investor. I don't invest in stock markets because I have been running stock markets for a large part of my life. So by law, by regulations, I am not allowed to invest, nor not allowed to speak on specifics. But overall, for me, the India story is great. The demographics, the youth and the demographics, India is going to remain young for next 30 years, next 30 to 40 years. By 2050, India will be the largest country in the world with 1.5 billion people, almost equivalent to China. But China has suddenly become less attractive because they have become very old. Because of one-child policy, suddenly by 2020, you will see India taking over China in terms of growth rates. India is practically the only country, we account for 16% of world population today. We'll account for 18 to 20% in 2050. But our youth is our major investment, our future, and how we harness is up to us. But being the only young country, America is old, Europe is very old, Japan is old, China is suddenly old. And you can figure out which are the companies to invest in. The companies which teach their employees Chinese language and send them for healthcare, those companies are worth investing in. Japanese, worth investing in, and so on and so forth. But India has a youth advantage. The new technologies allow Indians to work on it. India is a very entrepreneurial-driven country. We have billion entrepreneurs. 80% of Indian activities are not government-linked. In China, it's exactly opposite. 80% of the activities in China are government-linked. So when we see their growth, it's more government putting in money. When we see our growth, we see our entrepreneurs putting in money and earning returns out of that. So we are in a very, very different countries. They are more investment-driven. We are more consumption-driven. They are more export-driven. we are more internal sort of production driven and so on and so forth. But overall, 2017, 2020 onwards, India is going to take over from China in terms of the growth. Whatever little growth there might be remaining, we might be doing it 10%, they might be doing it 8 or 6 or 5. We might be doing 4, they might be doing 1%. But effectively, India long-term growth story is great. Short-term growth looks difficult today, but you might be surprised because it's dependent pretty much, one, on sentiment. Today, all of us feel that India is doing badly, and so everyone tells it 100 times a day, so we start feeling that India is doing badly. It is not doing so badly. India is not going to die anytime soon. 10,000 years, India has been working, and many predictions of India's demise have been found to be wrong. Future also, it's going to be the same thing. So don't try to be in a hurry. Try to invest for long term. Try to study. And I hope I have given you something to chew upon. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you, Ashish ji. Can I request that we would facilitate Ashish ji by a bouquet and a memento, please? Pankaj ji, can I request you to please do the honors? I would now request Chairman WRC to give a vote of thanks, and after this I would request all of you to join us for tea, a small break of 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll re-engage again. Thank you.
Thank you, Anil. Good afternoon, friends. Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and my professional colleagues. It's my pleasure to be here in this historic hall and proposing vote of thanks in this very, one can say, thought-provoking session, inaugural session of this seminar on financial planning and investor awareness. Let me thank Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, for enlightening all the members present here with really thoughtful discussion on the Indian economy, and advising people rather to go by their own, what you can say, will and own thoughts, rather than relying on something else and relying on some advice which one doesn't want or doesn't digest in real sense. I mean, he really highlighted on the topics which are really one has to understand before investing and while being investing also in the stock market or any market, financial market for that matter. On behalf of ICAI and WIRC, I propose a well-deserved vote of thanks to Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, and I request you all to give this vote of thanks with loud applause. I also thank the Committee for Financial Market for hosting, allowing us to host this program in this historic auditorium. I thank all BSE officials and thank you all for this gathering. Thanks a lot. May I request you all to join for tea?